What is happening, y'all? So I went ahead and already sat through a bunch of the bullshit because it was all identical to before, and we're now back up to essentially the turning point of the end. So let's see how things change, because the previous end got pretty dark.
Mia? Are you? What happened?
You didn't listen, did you?
I don't understand. Why are you here?
I told you already. I begged you to end it, but you didn't listen. You never do. Was it worth it? Did you get what you wanted?
Where's oh, there we go.
Yes. I have the cure, and now I know where to find you.
Then go. What are you waiting for?
Oh shit. I'm gonna get back to the airstrip. Okay. So fastest way to the airstrip is probably gonna be grapple drop at Delta, I think. So basically the same route that I took on the other episode. Oh, Jesus Christ. Goddamn banana leaves giving me leeches. I'm about to just ignore leeches. Like, I can't see them because they're in the bushes. Well, because I'm in the bush. Alright, so I needed to go, like, northwest. I should find the thing I need. I got full energy. Speedrun time! How fast can I get across? Let's see. It was somewhere right along this ledge. No, this is the ledge where I dropped down. So I can run back up there and make my way to it pretty easily, I think. Where was the point that I shot up? It was over at 33, 34 almost. It's far. No, hang on, I'm at 33, 34. Oh, wait, what? I guess you just get close enough and it warps you, maybe?
Tower, come in. This is Jake Higgins. I got it. I got what everybody's been looking for.
Did I hear you correctly? Say again, over.
Yes. Yes, you heard me right. I have the cure.
A cure? Oh my god, are you certain? I'll send somebody right away. You know how hard it is to get permission these days? Christ. Is this really over?
Just hurry.
Would have been nice to have to run all the way back there.
I wanted to say goodbye to you.
You think I'm still waiting for you?
Yes. You're a fighter.
You know, you could always come back to me.
I really hope that this won't be necessary. Hey, Mia. Thank you.
Goodbye, mi amor.
That's it? That's it? Oh. Ah. Ah. All right. Well, either way, let's do our story review, I guess. So, right off the bat, I will say I did enjoy this a lot. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as Subnautica. I think Subnautica is still my number one survival game, but I think I would probably put this as second place. So anyway, let's jump in and talk about it. So first up, we got the story. All in all, I really did enjoy the story here. I mean, you go into a survival game and they're like, oh, we have a story mode that's coming up, and you're kind of like, we'll see. And it's usually a little like, like Subnautica's story kind of got a little crazy with like the magical sea creatures, the forest story with like all the weird biological testing that was going on. Like, there's always some weird angle. But this one was actually pretty crazy, thinking about the fact that he's going through all this and all of your communication with Mia is in your head, and you came here with a bunch of people, assumedly everyone else is dead at this point, and you're just still in this jungle trying to find a cure with no memory of all the shit that went down. So I really did. I liked that. I liked that a lot. I like the way that the story was also kind of told through tidbits, similar to how Subnautica's was, like finding notes and whatnot. Nothing is really ever spoon-fed to you. And there's a lot of things that like you need to dig around to question, like like Alvarez being dead. Like, for a while I was like, where is Alvarez? And there's still some questions I have, like all the natives, because the natives obviously don't die to the virus because they do the combo ritual. So what happened to all the natives, and why are all of them dead? We're just gonna hit continue because I know the music's getting a bit loud here. So that's my only one real question now at the end of the game is, all of the natives at the main village were gone. I didn't see bodies. I didn't see a burial site. So did they all just say, screw it, we're abandoning this and going deeper into the jungle? Were they killed while the Amlo Court people were looking for a cure? I don't know. That's my one real question that's left. But anyway, I thought the story was good. In terms of gameplay, it definitely starts off rough, man. Like, the first couple episodes of this game were hellish, completely hellish. And this was on I played the game on the normal difficulty, remember. This wasn't the crazy hard difficulty or anything like that. So that's pretty insane when you think about it. I'm not playing, by the way. I'm just going to kind of leave things here while I sit and talk. But I will say that on the flip side, once I got established, once I had, just looking at my inventory, I know I said I wasn't going to play, but just looking at the inventory, I don't know, I'd say maybe episode 15, I had 10 leaf bandages perpetually. So, getting hurt, even if I got attacked, it was completely irrelevant. It wasn't a concern at all. Once I found the pot, things really got going, because then I was able to maintain water, and the beatone, like, Jesus, the beatone, that's insane. Like, so while I like the difficulty of the game, I do feel that we very quickly ramped up to a point where I was going to be unkillable. Like, just thinking about the end of the game, I had 5 painkillers, which is ridiculous. I have 100 hydration water canteen, essentially. We started finding tons of processed food, like beef jerky and bagged nuts, so I really didn't have to spend all that much time hunting and like smoking meats and whatnot. Like, towards the end, I was fine. I didn't even need to. I could just do this. We have plenty of arrows for any encounter. Especially after going to Delta, having 2 pots, that's nuts. That's 60 water I can boil at a time. So, I do 2 boils and boom, I'm full, and I'm bringing some extra away. The obsidian, we found obsidian pretty early on. And then even then, end of the game, I still had extra obsidian, and that was with throwing out an obsidian spear, making a new one, going through like 3 obsidian axes, the blade I barely ever used. I don't know why I have you. The bamboo bow, I think that made a big difference getting that early. I don't know if it did or not, but once we discovered that we could basically kill anything with a well-placed arrow to the head, I think that took a significant chunk of the challenge out of the gameplay. You know, like the very first time I found a caiman, I shot it in the face and it was dead. And I was like, what? Like, is my game bugged? Like, I legit thought my game was bugged. Because then I killed the jaguar with one shot to the head, and I was like, something's up here. But no, you can just kill shit with one shot to the head. So I like the gameplay, but I do think balance needs to be tweaked a little bit, especially in certain areas. Like, you know, if you shoot a caiman anywhere else, your arrow essentially bounces off of it. And being able to one-tapping a native to the head, sure. One-tapping a jaguar and a caiman, I feel like you should at least need like 2 arrows, because those are supposed to be the most threatening wildlife in the game, and it went from being the most threatening thing to something that I killed just as easily as a capybara. Another big thing is the armor, man. Having armor on is outrageous. Like, I mean, that's at 55 still. That's at 47. That's at 33. That's at 42. Like, the last 2 times I had encounters with big cats, you know, it wasn't even a concern. And they even attacked me. And it still didn't matter because I had armor that was just some bones thrown together with leaves. So I like the gameplay, but I do feel that once you get set up to the point where, like, you know, you have a pot, you have a bidon, you have armor, I didn't feel like my life was ever really threatened. I mean, there were still some tense moments, like the caiman swimming up on me. That always made me almost poop myself. But besides that, you know, once I was established, the threat of the jungle seemed significantly minimalized, which I think takes something away from it. I mean, the game was still intense. You know, you still got to manage your macros. You know, eating everything right, making sure you're drinking, making bases to save all the time. But I never really felt like, once I had my armor, I didn't feel like I was threatened by the wildlife or the natives. You know, even the native encounters. That's another thing. It started off with, like, you know, 1 native, 1, 2, or 3, and then we found some camps that had like 4, but it never really scaled past that. And being able to take down an enemy with a well-placed shot to the head, I would have liked to have at least a couple encounters where it's like, you know, you come up upon an actual little village and you got like 10 warriors charging at you, to really, really ramp up the challenge, especially because of the fact that I can save so much. You know, maybe if you're playing on like the super hellish mode where, you know, if you die, your save's gone, I could understand that. But at the same time, if you're playing on that mode, you probably wouldn't want to pick a fight with 10 natives anyway. You'd probably haul ass away and run. So I like the gameplay, but I feel it is it's like an S curve. You know, it starts off very hard, and then you reach a plateau, and it just doesn't really get harder once you're established. And I think that's something that could be greatly improved on. Overall environment and atmosphere and whatnot, I think they did a pretty good job. You know, it'd be nice to see a little bit more variety in the environment. Like, after a while, it's like, oh, yep, you know, this is the tree I get for wood. This is the thing I cut for leaves. And I mean, obviously, this game is still there's a roadmap in development that's ongoing, so there's still more stuff they could add. Namely, I'd like to see more uses for stuff. Like, I think one thing we saw a lot in the comment section is when I had that initial death from the poisonous frogs, a lot of people were like, oh, well, maybe you make poisonous arrows with the frogs. And logically, I think that makes sense. You know, like, take the poison frog, kill it, harvest it, and or just like combine it with like 5 arrows, and you get 5 poison arrows or something. You know, make your arrows more deadly, and make them, you know, and have even more effects on that. Like, if you kill an animal with the poisoned arrow, you know, the meat's going to be bad. If you kill a native with it, you know, that way you have arrows for fighting your natives and then arrows for fighting animals. And there's a lot more depth I think they could build in. Just because, you know, after a while, once you get established, like, I know what I go for. If I needed carbs, I would just find a tree and nom down 4 bananas real fast. Boom. Instant full carbs. Water became a non-issue with the bidon. Nuts, once you know to look for nuts falling off those trees, fats were never an issue, especially because I could eat, or they had these things. I mean, when I would cook these were just fat amounts of protein and fats and energy. I mean, it makes sense, you know, the cooked meat adds a ton of stuff, but I feel like once you learn everything, you know, the threat of the game and the environment is very minimalized, I guess. Moving on to the gameplay, like the actual, you know, running and jumping and whatnot. There are some things I think could be improved. I think like a climbing option could be kind of nice, so you're not having to like jimmy hop up stuff. And also, our protagonist isn't a very good jumper. Like, to be honest, the only reason I even got up this is because I'm like spam jumping it while going like against the ledge. And there's some parts where I'm like, how can I not get up this thing? Like, I feel like my dude should clearly be able to climb, but he can't. So other things, painkillers are, there's way too many painkillers. I mean, I carried around lily dressing and tobacco dressing most of the game, and I think I used each of them maybe once, just because painkillers fix everything. So I feel like painkillers need to be like super rare, like 3 of these bad boys in the whole game. Because once I hit a, that's another thing, you know, I hit a point and I was able to, oh, I got hurt, painkiller fixed. Oh, I picked up a frog, painkiller's fixed. Oh, I got bit by a snake, painkiller fixed. And being able to just instantly solve your problems like that definitely takes away from the core gameplay. The mechanics though, with like the shooting and how you get better with it and you can hold your breath, I think that's fine. Spear combat wasn't too bad. I never had to block. There's block, but I feel like I never used it. And you know, I don't expect crazy top tier combat in a game like this, but I feel like it just wasn't balanced, because you know, you reached a point where your bow was the best weapon every single time, because a headshot was an instant kill, whereas a spear I would have to hit a native 3-4 times with an obsidian spear to kill it, which kind of begs the question, you know, why even have the spear? Like late game, most of the time if I used the spear, it was like, oh, there's a coconut, and I used it to pop the coconut. So glorified coconut popping tool, basically. But you know, these are all things that are easily fixed by balance as well. As for music, there wasn't a ton of music. There was a lot of just kind of ambiance in the game, and some of it I thought was really good. Like, you know, the noises when it's like, oh god, there's a snake nearby. Like, I mean, so many times I'd be like, whoa, and just like jump back, or fucking just be like, oh my god, there's gonna be a snake, and then run and jump over it and shit. And that was fun. But in some cases, it got annoying, namely with the mice. The mice, man, there were times where I'd make a base, and there was like a fucking mouse at my base, and it was like every 10 seconds, squeak, 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 squeak. And I'm like, I'm going to find this fucking thing and murder it. But they were so tiny. So, you know, let's maybe reduce the amount of forest mice. They're irritating. They squeak a bunch. They're probably a pretty piss poor source of protein. We don't need as many of those. But everything else I really liked. You know, I liked, like, you know, hearing that caiman kind of growl at you. That caused so many oh shit moments. You're like, oh my god, I almost just died. So there was still a lot of intensity. A little let down that we never actually saw an anaconda. I mean, there was the one that was roped up, and then obviously the one in the third ayahuasca trip. But I think having an anaconda run up on you in the water would have been pretty cool. Or, you know, when I'm going through these islands, because you get to hear, you know, this zone. Mentally, I would argue this was the most intense place in the game for me, because I got here and I'm like, dude, these are a bunch of little islands. There is probably a shit ton of, there's probably a shit ton of caimans. There's probably anacondas in this water. And all in all, there was like the 2 caimans we found, and then the one that got me when I was going to the grappling hook, and that was it. And, you know, so I was like, all right, well, fuck it. I'm just going to start speeding through this. So I guess my point is I would have liked more danger, and maybe it is more dangerous in the harder difficulties, but you know, more caimans, add some anacondas into this mix, more big cats. I feel like I encountered tribesmen more than anything, but I want more threats in this jungle, more things trying to kill me. And, you know, maybe playing in open survival mode, you wouldn't luck out finding as many things as you do in the story, and so it would still be a threat. But I still want more. I want more things that are trying to kill me next time. Because I feel like once you conquer the mechanics of surviving the world, the only real threat is you know, there's a bunch of guys that are attacking me. Like we had one good fight that was like 4 natives, and they broke an armor piece and got some damage into my legs. That was a good fight. After that point, it was just like, oh, clippity clappity, putting arrows in your face, just ruining them. So anyway, long story short, I really enjoyed the experience, but I do think there are quite a few things that could be tweaked to balance to make it a better overall experience. Maybe make the difficulty curve a little bit more linear so it's not as brutal at the start, and then subsequently it doesn't just peter off to where you're like a god towards the end. But all in all, for a survival game, I had a great time playing this. So I'm going to go ahead and put this bad boy at like a 9 out of 10. Because this was definitely fun, and you know, I mean, I didn't mess with clay at all, so I'm definitely interested in going back into the game and doing a survival mode, probably on stream, and just seeing, you know, like how much of a baller base I could build on up and see where things go from there. So either way, guys, thanks for coming on by and watching the series. Did not think it was going to go for 29 episodes, but hopefully this kept you all nice and entertained while I was over in Japan. As for the next game coming up, it'll probably be the new Star Wars game, because I think that comes out right around the time this series would wrap up. But if that ends up being a flop, I may go and do part 3 of The Long Dark. So we'll figure it out. You know, this is stuff that I'm discussing that'll be happening 2 weeks from when I'm recording this episode. So anyway, thanks for coming on by. Appreciate you all watching. I'll catch you guys soon enough with a brand new series.